Can we finally break through supply on the British pound? Let's talk about it in this week's Forex Forecast. All right, starting things off with the US dollar index. The institutions got rid of 407 longs, and they also got rid of 1,995 shorts. And if you do want this Cot Report spreadsheet, it is on my Patreon. So remember, if you look at the daily chart on the DXY here, you can clearly see we almost contacted this daily demand zone at 101.73. And I do believe that this push up we've seen on the DXY is most likely just a retracement for a push back down. I think we'll probably be pushing down to that daily demand. Now, if we go to a lower time frame, we've clearly lost the trend on not only the 1 hour chart, but also the 4 hour chart. So if we pop into the 4 hour chart here, we have a new demand zone at 102.67. This demand zone was responsible for removing supply. And that does not mean that we just need to start buying the US dollar. This is not really great confirmation that the US dollar will be going higher. So what I would personally be doing here, if I was deciding whether to go long or short the dollar, is I'd be basing my trading decision all around this 4 hour demand. So if we do push down to this 4 hour demand, and let's say we break that demand, then I think that's a pretty good sign that we will possibly be going lower, breaking this low, continuing the 4 hour downtrend, and pushing down to the daily demand that I just pointed out. So let's say we push back down to this demand and you are bullish the dollar and you want to buy the dollar. I think this is possibly the best area to look for a buy, but like I said, there is evidence that we could be going lower. So this is where this is the only place I would be buying the US dollar if we push down to that 4 hour demand. It doesn't mean that I want to do that. It just means that if I was bullish, that would be my demand zone I'd be looking to see hold. And let's say we do, and we push up, we have a higher high, and we have a 4 hour uptrend, then at that point I think looking for longs on day trading timeframes in the dollar is okay. So hopefully all of that makes sense on the DXY. It's the most important factor of the markets. So I'll just be basing my trading decision around this 4 hour demand to see if it holds or if it breaks, and if we can get a 4 hour uptrend or if we will continue the 4 hour downtrend. All right, on to the Euro USD. The past week, the banks got rid of 18,000 longs, and they also got rid of 14,000 short positions. Remember, on the Euro, we are reacting off of my weekly area of demand right now. So weekly demand is in control on the Euro. That is definitely very important. Also, daily demand is in control off of the Euro. I pointed out this daily demand a long time ago, and we finally are moving away from it. Although, looking here, we are kind of pulling back. But at the same time, I did notice this 4 hour demand potential setup on the Euro. So we contacted this 4 hour demand. I actually was talking about this in the daily market breakdown video for the members, and I said there is some sort of demand right here, but I am not drawing it. I actually expected price to push down to this demand and maybe react off of it. So we are getting a reaction off of this 4 hour demand to the upside. So in my opinion, the Euro is looking strong. I would only continue to look for longs coming off of this demand on day trading timeframes. We do have a little bit of supply up here. I think we could see a reaction off of this supply zone like that. Maybe not that far. I think maybe if anything we could see a small reaction, then a push up. So if we do continue to push up here on the Euro off of my 4 hour demand zone, I think looking for longs on day trading timeframes is still the best thing to do, and there's targets clearly to the upside here. So I think looking for longs on the Euro still one of the best things to be doing, especially since we're reacting off of weekly and daily demand. All right, on to gold. And before we get into the analysis, I just want to point out this 4 hour demand zone trade that I pointed out for the members in the daily member forecast video for the diamond membership. So just wanted to point out that 4 hour demand zone and the power of supply and demand. And if you do want to join the Patreon YouTube membership, check it out. Here are all the membership options. And like I said, we just created this new membership called the Diamond membership, and it is available for lifetime access as well, where you get lifetime access to everything you see on the screen here. And the best thing about that is that it includes my daily market breakdown video. So that's very, very important. So check it out. Links are in the description down below. We'll be happy to see you guys join the team. So on to gold now. The banks added 22,000 longs, and they got rid of 37,000 shorts. So looking at the weekly chart, very significant thing has happened. We had a pretty decent little weekly supply zone here and has recently been removed. Not only that, this weekly zone had been tested, so that shows that it was significant weekly supply. And now we are left with new weekly demand at 1870. The problem with this weekly demand is that it is located right at another weekly area of demand, and I'm not really a fan of that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if we do get a push down to this weekly demand, I still think it's a great buying opportunity, just like it was down here where I got in long. So I would definitely consider buying gold down there as well, even though it's really not the best since it's so close to this weekly demand as well. So as far as gold goes now for trading, I'm really not seeing a whole lot except for, we are reacting off that 4 hour, or sorry, we already reacted off that 4 hour demand. So there's really no zone there. As far as the 1 hour chart goes here, there's definitely an interesting story. We had 1 hour supply here. We reacted off of it once, twice. Not only that, we removed this 1 hour demand zone and we're left with a new 1 hour supply. So either on gold, we're going to push down to that weekly demand that I pointed out earlier, or we're going to continue to push up. So as far as longs go, I would at least want to, like I said, for longs, I would wait for that weekly demand to be hit, or what I would do is I would wait for these highs to be removed, these highs up here, this supply, and at that point, that would be an indication that we are not pulling back to weekly demand, but instead we are going up to maybe all-time highs on gold. So hopefully all of that makes sense on gold. And at the end of the day, whatever you do, trade with caution, especially if you're getting in long, because we are at the highs, and I am kind of expecting gold to push down. If not, we're probably going to all-time highs, and there'll be more trading setups to come. All right, on to the USD Japanese yen. The past week, the banks got rid of 18,000 longs and they got rid of 9,886 short positions. Now, looking at the USD yen here, we still have a pretty clean 4 hour downtrend. We did lose momentum on the 1 hour chart here. Let me just show you guys that. So this is what it means when we lose momentum, where we had a 1 hour downtrend with a pretty clean 1 hour downward trend line, and that trend line was then removed. And not only that, we have a 1 hour demand zone here as well. So since we have a 4 hour overall downtrend, by no means am I expecting this 1 hour demand zone to hold, but at the same time, we could certainly see a reaction off of it like that. Sorry, maybe not that high, but something like this, and then maybe a push down. So let me show you some of the other charts here on the yen. So we have, first, let me just show you this. We have clear profit margin down to daily demand at 129.144. So right here, I think that's where we are probably headed on the USD yen in the medium to short term. With that being said, we have which is a 4 hour chart. Here's my intermediate time frame. On some instances, we have a 4 hour downtrend right now. So what that means is that we're probably headed lower until we can see this 4 hour downtrend removed. So this is how I would shape my trading in this instance. Since we have a 4 hour downtrend, I think looking for shorts on day trading timeframes like a 5-minute time frame, a 15-minute time frame, and even like a 1-minute time frame as well, I think that's okay as long as this 1 hour downward trend line is holding. Now let's say you look for a short, you lose 3 trades, and then we break the downward trend line. That's okay in my opinion. We still have to trade with the trend. It's higher odds than going long, as you can see by just the way it's moved down. And if you hold your trades, then obviously you got a lot more profit than if you were to go long. So that's my opinion on the USD yen. I am not seeing any setups right now. Yes, we do have this 4 hour supply at 132.35, but at that point, if we do hit that supply, we will be above this downward trend line. So it becomes lower odds, but confirmation would be needed if we do see a reaction off of that 4 hour supply. GBPUSD forecast. The past week, the banks got rid of 20,000 longs and they also got rid of 17,000 shorts. And leave me a comment down below in the comments. What do you think is going to happen on the pound here? Do you think we will break this supply or react to the downside? So remember, we are inside the supply. It has been tested though, so that is some evidence that we could be removing this supply. Let's go down to the lower time frames here and see what's taking place. So right away, I notice on the 1 hour chart, we lost momentum a long time ago. Where did we lose momentum? Well, right here when we broke the upward 1 hour trend line. Not only that, we also removed a 1 hour demand zone, which left us with 1 hour supply. So technically, this 1 hour supply zone at 1.22 is your 1 hour confirmation coming off of that daily supply. So I think if you are bearish the pound, that would be your 1 hour supply zone that you would potentially look to short. And I think we could see a small reaction off of that supply zone. So the evidence is in that we could be pushing down to the downside. And not only that, if we come to a 4 hour chart, an even more significant thing has happened. We removed this 4 hour upward trend line. That is more significant than removing a 1 hour upward trend line because the 4 hour is a higher time frame than the 1 hour. So not only that, we are left with a 4 hour supply zone, but this is a pretty weak supply zone in my opinion. I would have liked to see a larger move down coming off of the basing. So it's a very weak supply zone, so I would definitely be more focused on that 1 hour supply I just showed you guys, but we could certainly see a reaction off of that 4 hour supply. So to kind of summarize the pound here, we are inside daily supply. Not only did we get a 1 hour change in momentum, but we also got a 4 hour change in momentum here as well by removing the upward trend line. But the removal of it wasn't amazing, so it's kind of a confusing time in the pound right now. But with that being said, we are reacting off daily supply, so that 1 hour supply zone I showed you earlier could be a decent area for a potential short. Or if we continue to push back up and continue to have the 4 hour uptrend, then we need to continue on with the longs just like we've been doing on the pound. All right, on to the forecast for the USDCAD. The past week, the banks got rid of 15,677 longs, and they also got rid of 43,000 shorts. Now, looking at the daily chart here, we reacted amazingly off my daily demand right here, almost no drawdown. And this is a daily demand zone that I pointed out in last week's Forex Forecast. So with that being said, daily demand is in control on the USDCAD. Now, looking at the macro charts, which we discussed in the Diamond membership, there is evidence that we could see the USDCAD pull lower. I'm not going to get into too much more detail about that, but there is evidence that we could see a bigger push down in the USDCAD. But with that being said, we have to use what we see right now, and daily demand is in control on the USDCAD. So with that being said, let's go down to some of the lower time frames. Right away, if you are looking to get in long, I'm seeing three options really. There are three options, and here they are. There's a 1 hour demand right here, where we could look for a long trade on a 5-minute chart, day trading time frame, coming off that 1 hour demand. Let's say that zone breaks. Well, first of all, let's say that trade works out, then great, that's your trade. Let's say we break this 1 hour demand and we push down to this demand. Well, the same thing applies down here because both of these zones right here are 1 hour confirmation coming off of the daily demand. So these are two areas in the 1 hour chart where we could see price move to the upside off of those demand zones. So I would be focusing on those two 1 hour demand zones. Now, let's say we don't react off of those 1 hour demand zones. Well, what do we do then if we want to get in long? Well, just looking at this 4 hour chart, let's say we break above this 4 hour supply. If we're left with a 4 hour demand, that would be your 4 hour confirmation coming off of daily demand. And why I like this setup potentially better is because, well, first of all, I do like the 1 hour setups better because they are in a lower price and you can get a larger risk to reward. But if we do get this 4 hour supply removed, this is a significant 4 hour supply zone. We've already seen it react off of it once, twice, almost 3 times. So there's a supply up here, and if we can remove it, that would be significant. So those are the options I see on USDCAD here. As far as shorting it goes, I am really not seeing any evidence that we should be shorting. If we get a 1 hour downtrend or a 4 hour downtrend, then I think shorts are on the table. So actually, let me just point this out. If we do break this low here on the 4 hour chart, then I think we'll obviously have a 4 hour downtrend, and then I think shorts are on the table, especially if we remove this 4 hour supply. So until then, like I said, longs are the best thing to be doing, and I would just be focusing on either the two 1 hour zones I pointed out or the removal of that 4 hour supply. All right, on to the Aussie US dollar. The past week, the banks got rid of 13,000 longs and they added 511 short positions. First things first, we are reacting off of this daily area supply beautifully. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say beautifully. It's been pretty choppy, but we are nonetheless reacting off of this supply. And I pointed out this supply a couple forecasts ago, or maybe last week's forecast. So we are reacting off daily supply, and that's very important. Now, the next very important factor is this weekly chart here. Not only are we reacting off of daily supply, but there's profit margin to the next higher time frame demand at this weekly demand at 0.64. So there is profit margin to see price push lower, where maybe we will fuel up for a larger move to the upside on the Aussie US dollar. So with that being said, I am more bearish the US dollar, but it doesn't mean we can't see price push down to fuel up for a bigger push higher. So with that being said, what kind of trading can we take in the Aussie US dollar right now? Well, since we are reacting off daily supply, we could be looking for confirmation short trades. And if you look right now on this 1 hour chart, we pretty much have two confirmations right here. we have a 1 hour confirmation that's located at 0.66, so we could see a reaction off of that 1 hour supply zone. Not only that, that 1 hour supply is located in this 4 hour supply zone. And so looking at the 4 hour chart as well, we also have a 4 hour confirmation right here. And this 4 hour supply is very significant. Why is it significant? It is significant because this 4 hour supply was created when this 4 hour demand was removed, and this 4 hour demand was responsible for removing this 4 hour supply. I know it's a little bit confusing, but bear with me. So this 4 hour supply was extremely significant because it reacted off of it once, twice, 3 times, almost 4 times. So when this supply was removed by this demand, and this demand was removed by this 4 hour supply, and we are reacting off of daily supply, I think this is a decent little 4 hour supply zone where you can use it to look for a 50-minute day trade confirmation off of that 4 hour supply zone. So either that or the 1 hour supply I pointed out at 0.66 are 2 decent areas to look for potential shorts coming off of daily supply. And if all of these zones fail, well, that's okay too, because at that point I think it's time to buy the Aussie US dollar. So these little trades I'm showing you guys are just quick little moves down to weekly demand at 0.64. All right, looking at the USD Swiss forecast, the past week the banks got rid of 2,194 longs, and they also got rid of 5,541 short positions. Now remember, on the weekly chart here, there is profit margin to the downside, so keep that in consideration. Looking at the daily chart, it's kind of all over the place. We are reacting off of this daily demand once again, but in my opinion, since we've already reacted off of it, it's looking pretty weak. The ultimate short signal would be to remove this daily demand, but obviously the further we drop, the worse price we get for a short, so that's definitely something to consider. Looking at the 4 hour chart, something significant happened. We have a 4 hour supply zone right here that we are currently reacting off of. So I think it's okay to look for 50-minute day trade shorts coming off of this 4 hour supply if you do think we will continue to push down on the USD Swiss. Now, if we break to the upside here and break this high, then at that point we'll have the 4 hour uptrend, and then we could look for longs and day trading timeframes. But until then, I think shorts are definitely favored here on the USD Swiss, and that 4 hour supply zone at 0.92 really is the only potential trading setup that I see on the USD Swiss. And I think profits could be taken at like at 0.9 all the way down there at that weekly area of demand. All right, last but not least, we are on to crude oil. The past week, the banks got rid of 15,000 longs, and they also added 36,000 shorts. Now, onto the forecast for oil as far as looking at the charts. Remember, we are inside of a weekly area of demand and super higher time frame demand, like the 3-month demand zone as well. So I am very bullish on oil. We just need to wait for confirmation. Looking at the daily chart here, we clearly have profit margin to the upside to about $75 a barrel as well. And that is one reason I am looking to potentially get in long on oil. Now, as far as trading this goes, I need significant confirmation. And significant, I mean the 4 hour chart. So what I am waiting for is the removal of this supply at this point. We did kind of remove this downward trend line, which left us with very poor quality demand that I definitely did not want to be trading at. But even this was a better demand zone to potentially be trading at. Anyways, so what I'm looking for now is for the removal of this supply, because the removal of the downward trend line didn't really look that great. So to be very clear and to keep it short, I'm just waiting for the supply to be removed on oil, and then I'll be looking for longs. And with that being said, I wouldn't really do anything else here on oil. I think shorting is definitely probably an option on maybe day trading timeframes, but there are just so many higher time frame areas in control on oil that I am expecting price to go up, and I think the most money is made to the upside here, especially since I think we could see oil go up to $88 a barrel in the long term. So that is why I'm waiting to pounce on a 4 hour demand zone setup. I hope you guys found this weekly Forex forecast helpful. If it did, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe if you are new to the channel. And as always, check out the YouTube and Patreon membership if you want to get my daily chart analysis and much, much more.